What It Takes Radio Company presents another adventure, another expedition, and we're going to talk about radio and broadcasting and why all of us need to think about having a CBO in and with our business. Greetings once again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Stan, the Radio Man, and today I'd like to bring up the subject of a little bit of self-promotion, if that may be the case, but I think it might be helpful to all of you. Here is something that I have put together. It is, you see it right there on the board in the studio. Why don't you have a professional broadcaster in your business? And then, of course, there is my trademark haircut and glasses, and, of course, the golden microphone. Now, actually, my AI robot came up with an idea that I loved. He suggested that since I like to wear a red tie, in fact, I've done a number of programs about red ties, he suggested that I put together a logo, which we will probably show you if we can, that has a golden microphone wearing a red tie. And that's going to be a little bit of our logo going forward. You know, Donald Trump is known for his Trump ties and his red ties. And as I've pointed out a couple times, I think I may have been a Trump tie person before he was, in the sense that I've always loved ties, and I loved just plain color, you know, a red, a purple. That was very, very, I like that. A red, gold, just a plain tie in a brighter color. And so, yeah, today I have my red tie, and I have a number of them, and we may carry on being a red tie broadcaster. Now, here's my point. AI is changing everything, and that is true because we are in the performance economy. And right now, everybody in business needs to have here we go, a professional broadcaster in your business or available to your business. You need, if you are a larger organization, what I say, a CBO. Now that's a Chief Broadcasting Officer. You've got a Chief Marketing Officer. You've got a Chief Human Resource Officer. You've got a Chief Financial Officer. One of the fundamental things you're going to need in the 21st century economy that is transformational, that is performance-based, that is truly digital, you're going to need a CBO, a Chief Broadcasting Officer. Now, I want to make it a little more fun than that, because I really don't like the word chief as much, but I understand the importance of it. That's historically so. But part of what I'm saying is have a curiosity broadcast officer. Now, one of the things that has happened to me in the 40 plus years that I've been a broadcaster, and before that as a teacher, I developed, couldn't help it, I developed a very healthy sense of curiosity, because whenever something happened or I learned something, as a teacher, I was always saying, is that something that I could use in the classroom? Now, that was incredibly heightened when here I was, you know, before a microphone every day, oftentimes for 2 or 3 hours a day. And so how do you fill that? Obviously, you can play some music and have the news and have the weather and things like that. But just that is not going to be enough. And so I always was looking for things. I'd read a book. I'd see a bumper sticker. I was always looking for things that I could use in my radio programs or later on in my video programs. So what I'm saying is, it is good to have a curiosity person, a person who is curious. Now, I have found, now this was unfortunately something I learned that was rather interesting, but my resume is full of a lot of different things that I've done around the world. And I don't mean to brag about them. It's just that I've been fortunate to have lived, and hopefully will continue to live for a bit longer, a very interesting life. Met a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. And as an entrepreneur, I've done a lot of things, and I've built businesses that have failed terribly. I've made money and I've lost money. I've had a number of experiences and done a number of things. It was interesting to see because one of my brochures that I had to give, technically, I don't like to audition by paper. I want to audition by auditioning, by doing what I do, which is to broadcast and to teach and to consult and to coach. And paper, a piece of paper can't do that. It's a dead tree. And I'm a very live and energetic person. But here's what I discovered, that in one of the cases, and then it was another case, I gave my little piece of paper, and it had a number of things there. And the people looked through it, and not one question. When I talked about the fact that I had been worked in London and trained by the BBC, not one question. That I had actually been very much involved in some of the things that happened in the Caribbean that were very, very consequential. Not one question. They totally were uncurious about me. Now, see, whenever I meet a person, and I never say, "What do you do?" I've got all kinds of good questions. And what I want to do is I want to treat every person as if they're the most important person in the world. So I want to ask questions about their life and the work they do, and find out more about them. I just am curious. It said that curiosity killed the cat. Well, then I would be long dead if I were a cat, because I really believe, and this is true of people who I've met in the industry, the ones who are really good, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow when I introduce you to the rest of the story, and the story of Paul Harvey. You ever heard of Paul Harvey? A man who had a wonderful radio program that is very vital for you in your business. The name of his program was The Rest of the Story. And what you are trying to do, if you're going to be in business today, people are going to interview, they're going to talk. You need to continually find more of the story, rest of the story. Show a real curiosity about people's lives. And let me tell you, I have heard some of the most incredible stories and met some of the most incredible people because I just was fully present to them, and I wanted to hear their stories. Wow. And in fact, I remember one time when a very, very bright and brilliant and bold man in his very senior years, after having a conversation with him, a little tear began to run down. And I said, "Howard, are you okay?" And he said, "Stan, I'm grateful." He said, "You know what? It's been over 20 years since I left business, longer than that. And you're the first one who has really cared enough to listen to my story. And I'm deeply moved by that." You were curious enough to want to know more about me. Instead of just pitching yourself and talking about you, you listened to me and my story. And I just want you to know that that feels really good. And I'm very grateful for that. That's something that came to me in over almost 50 years of being a broadcaster. Now, that's why I tell people you don't just need a podcaster, you need a professional podcaster broadcaster. There's a difference between a person who's just learned how to do a podcast and that person has also become a broadcaster, because broadcasting is not just something you do, it's a state of mind, it's something you are. So there we go. And I hope that would be helpful to you. Uh, every business should have someone, if not me, like me, who can teach you all how to be on the radio, in front of the camera, behind the microphone, and teach you how to be a broadcaster. In today's world, if you can put on your resume or your CV that you are very well trained and experienced in the broadcasting mass media arts, you are going to be that much more valuable. Your Zoom calls will be better. All of the marketing you do will have greater energy, personality, and presence. You have to have, if you want to make it in the AI world, you have to at least have, maybe on staff, on call, in a friendship relationship, somebody who knows how to be a broadcaster, how to use the microphone and the camera and the mass media and the digital media to communicate well, powerfully, connect with people, who has lots of stories and lots of questions, because that's how you will get the information you need and share the information you need to share. And it will be a way to make people feel important. As I say, as a broadcaster, I always remember, and as a human being, I always remember that everybody I run into, and everybody on the radio, and everybody in the studio is wearing a sign that says, "Please tell me I'm important. Please tell me I'm important." And oftentimes I simply say to people, just read the sign, please. Just read the sign. Do that. And life will probably go better for you, and you might even make more money. And you are all interested in that. Thank you for your time. All the best and blessings to you. I am hereby auditioning to come on staff. No, not at all. I'm not looking for a job. I'm simply looking for opportunities to help you and your business learn how to make more money, have more fun, and have greater confidence and power in the new IA performance economy that is truly transformational, in which things that you've done before are no longer going to work, because you're going to need to know. You don't have to be perfect to be on the radio. You can just speak occasionally. Need to know to be on the radio and be a source of a master communicator. The degree you need right now is a Master of a Self-Expression, MSE. Learn how to do that. Dale Carnegie said many years ago, you have to learn how to give a speech if you want to be successful. And I'm simply saying, by the way, we're writing a new book based on Dale Carnegie Up to Date. And today, Dale Carnegie would say, along with me, if you want to make it in the world today, you're going to have to learn not only how to give a good speech, you're going to have to learn how to be on the radio, be on the television, and be able to perform at your best. Think about that. As I used to say on late night radio, just let that sit on your head for a while. Take care. Bye for now.